Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap. Man, how pumped I am to be here with you guys today on a big Monday show, a victory Monday. I was got a little bit worried. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit worried there at the end of at the end of that game. I look at my wife. I'm like, oh my god, are we looking at overtime again? But look, even if it would have. Look, it's still a victory Monday. We're coming in. We are coming in here hot, as Blake Winfrey says. It is indeed fun as heck for sure. Cockamamie Monday, victory Monday, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna have some unpopular takes today. I'm going to have some takes that you guys are going to absolutely hate. But hey, look, we got Rodolfo in the. Oh, Rodolfo gets the W. First one in the chat. Sandman is saying fire who? Me? What? Was I late today? I thought that I was on time. I was telling Blake beforehand today, only like 67 plays run on defense. So started it last night, got it done today. Thought I might have an extra 25 minutes to go and creep into the old infrared sauna, get a little relaxation on, a little kind of pseudo workout. Of course, what ends up happening is it throws the whole rest of the day into complete and utter chaos and despair. But here we are. This is where we come together, gather our thoughts, and come and have some fun with our friends. Carl Tusing, so good to see you. And coming out with, we have some hot takes from the chat already. Sark should hire Jimbo Fisher to be the OC for Texas. He was always a great offensive coordinator. I feel like Texas has a great offensive coordinator / offensive line coach, and I would not want to risk losing Kyle Flood to bring old Jimbo into town for $75 million or whatever he's going to cost. Plus, can he even have a job? Like, I think he just got to stay out of football to keep getting paid that sweet do nothing money from Texas A&M. Cody Carpentier, Alex is fixing to hop on his NFL soapbox for Jay Brooks and Quinn. Well, maybe Cody's giving you a little bit of a preview here. Oh, look at Blake. He's already posted he's already posted in the chat the link to the merch. And there's a promo code today for the merch. I guess it's through the 16th. So for the next 3 days, we're gonna hit you with this. You get 10% off of Football with Friends merch with promo code Holiday Z10, and holiday is spelled with one L. Is that how holiday is spelled in real life? I think it is. Holiday, yeah, holiday. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking like Drew Holiday or something. Why am I thinking of an NBA player? Blake, I'm telling you, I'm tilted. Jay Ward, so good to see you, my friend. Colin Crowder, Gringo Horn 65. It is indeed. Fun as hell. Thank you so much. Cody Carpentier, Colby S, Mark Ruiz, Burnt Orange Blood, Blake Winfrey. So good to see you, my friend. Again, Oscar Elizondo. So good to see you. Big Gary, the Big Daddy Lewis. Great man. Just Richard Arias. It's so good to see all you guys, man. I'm pumped today, dude. I'm pumped, man. Look, we're going to talk about a few things today. Okay, so I got done with the deep dig. So we have the defensive rankings update. We have the updates today from Sark's availability. I actually thought Sark's availability today was pretty telling on a couple of different issues. A little bit snappy, a little bit chatty. I couldn't. What's the mix of snappy and chatty? I'm not sure. He was a little bit of both. Life after Jay Brooks. We just got to talk about it. It's not going to be easy, but we're just going to have to look. That's what we do. We come together. We'll talk about this stuff. We're going to talk about my complete lack of hunting success this weekend and the fact that I just want to turn in my hunting license and or maybe I'll just keep my hunting license and make myself eat tag soup out of all these tags I'm never going to fill because I'm a complete coward. I'm scared to get out. I'm scared to try anything new. I'm scared to get out of the game to get into the game. I need to give myself. I need you guys to help pump me up and say, Alex, you got to get out of your comfort zone and go kill some of these deer. Quinn Ewers, the report from Catch that he should not, or that he's thinking about not going pro. I have definite thoughts about that. There's a big flip in recruiting. We'll get to your questions. If you have questions, make sure. And Money B says a mix between snappy and chatty is Snapchat. Tyler Finley says it's snatty. Sandman says it's shatty. I think he was acting kind of snatty today. It's snatty for sure. We're going to take your questions, put them into super chat. We'll get to them, whether they're in super chat or not. You know, if you'd like to support the show, of course, buy merch, super chat, whatever. But we'll answer your questions regardless. You guys are such a key part of the show, and we love having you here. The refs not swindling Texas once again. There was one play where they swindled Texas. Oh, and then the Monday Night Football preview, Prize Picks, etc. Had a good weekend on Prize Picks, thankfully. I'll show you guys something. Now Texas didn't get swindled on every single. It wasn't like Texas. These Big 12 refs are bad, and they're bad to everybody, right? But I'm just gonna show this because there was this one play that just bothered me to no end, and the reason why it bothered me to no end is that that's which one am I showing? Am I showing play number 1 right here? Yeah, this bothered me to no end because when we do the deep dig defensive rankings, I was plagued with a existential crisis, and it was, man, should I change the rules of the deep dig for this because the refs did such a bad job on this call? Because what happens in the deep dig is if a play is nullified by penalty, and Colby, yes, that's a great question, Blake. We marked that one where he asked about if I think that the Brooks hit was dirty. The rule has always been if a play is nullified by penalty, the play just doesn't count. It's just stricken from the books. If there was a player that was on the field and he participated, that player never participated. That play just never happened, right? If it happened in the woods, no one saw it. It's like, what is that thing? If a tree falls in the woods, no one hears it. Did it really fall? That's like the tree falling in the woods that nobody hears, right? Did it ever really fall? And there have been so many times in the past where people on Orange Bloods have gotten tilted at me saying like, no, Alex, I saw Ben Davis out there for a snap, and I'll be like, well, yeah, Ben Davis was out there for a snap, but on that snap, it was a offensive holding call that Texas accepted, and the play was replayed, and then the personnel package that came back in the second time, it didn't include Ben Davis, right? And so Ben Davis didn't participate. I don't know if that's how the school does it, but with this play, I was like, man, not only do I have to give T'Vondre Sweat a penalty, which takes off of his deep dig points, but he's going to lose a TFL. And as we'll see, whenever we go over the defensive rankings, just a little spoiler up here, Jalen Ford is still on top of the rankings. He's still playing more than everybody else. But another thing we'll get to, weirdly, he's starting to lose middle linebacker snaps to David Benda, which is what? So we'll talk about that. But if this play and this penalty wouldn't have occurred, T'Vondre Sweat on like 200 less snaps than Jalen Ford would be king of the mountain. He would be king of the mountain if not for if not for this. So here's where it is right now. That looks bad, right? That one looks bad. Here, and I just have them all loaded here. So this one, that's kind of like you can just see the play as it sort of develops, right? You can see that still kind of looks bad. It looks like T'Vondre Sweat's left thumb is on the bottom of the TCU player's face mask, right? Okay. And now another one here in this sequence, you can see right here that, is it showing it? You can still tell maybe is he pulling his face mask all the way over there to the side of his left shoulder pad? It's a little bit grainy, right? But you can is his hand on the face mask, or is his hand on the inside of his left shoulder, right? Is he holding him there? Because what happens with that, and it doesn't take somebody it doesn't take somebody who's like a football guy like me to tell you. It's like what the mechanism does there, as far as the way it makes the number 9's body contort, is it's going to bring his head back that way because his shoulders are being swiveled back that way due to the way that his hips are in relation to his shoulders, right? His head's always going to come back down that way. And so at this point, it's still maybe to some like an official looks like it could be a face mask. But then we get to this one, and then I just don't understand how anybody from any angle could have thought that this was a face mask. Because if you look and see his face mask is right here and it's pointed this way. His hand is very, very obviously on the left side or on the inside of his left shoulder. And regardless, this thing gets called, right?
Well, and the other thing, Alex, is what an amazing play by Sweat to even be able to reach that far and grab him to even get the jersey. That was such an athletic play.
Sweat's so good, man. He let down a little bit in the second half of this game, just for a little spell, just a tiny little bit of a. I don't even want to call it an on-off switch kind of thing. It felt like the whole defense got a little bit disjointed and weird there. And we're going to look at some of the personnel stuff and why it kind of felt that way. But God, man, Sweat is just so good, man. It's just he's like talk about the NFL. I think he actually is going to be this kind of deal where he's going to be this.
Come on, jeez. Yeah. I went Sanders in the first round. Well, Sweat's going to go in the first round, isn't he?
Right, but as bad as that was for Sweat, there was stuff where there was the penalties on the sideline where they could have kicked dudes out of the game. That there was the Michael Taff in the back of the end zone where he's kind of draped over the dude on such a critical fourth down play. There was Terrence Brooks, who was clearly it should have been at least be defensive holding in that same end zone there at the beginning of the fourth quarter. There were
Big 12 refs are going to Big 12 ref.
Yeah, I'm just like I remember just like looking at my wife during the game and I was saying, God, it's so much for all this stuff, and like I didn't want to jinx it. I haven't tweeted it out. Like I don't want to jinx it because there's still 2 games left where the refs can completely screw Texas and mess everything up for the rest of the remaining schedule. But I don't know, like Blake, I haven't had even time to think about this because I've been traveling and I was hunting this last weekend. I'd like to hear from you guys. Oh, Blake, did you get that photo that Jay Ward sent in of that monster buck that he shot?
Yeah, I did get that photo.
We need to make sure and put that thing up. I would like to hear if any of you guys had hunting success stories. I'm just such a coward.
It was a monster.
I got set up in what I thought was a good place. I don't see any deer for like 3 hunts, and I go back for a 4th hunt. And I'm just like expecting to see something different. And look at Jay Ward. Look at that.
That's huge.
Look, it's technically not a spike, right? And look at him. Look how wide it is. He has to hold his arms out this far to hold it.
This really accentuates like what you can do with camera angles when fishing and hunting to make things look enormous. Like
that thing must weigh 800 pounds.
At least look at how small he is.
Or a caribou. Nice work, Jay Ward. Hey man, at least you got meat in the freezer right now.
Prehistoric whitetail.
Unlike yours truly. Okay. Text guy too saying, you guys think what do you mean a setup? Do you think Jay Ward would ever set us up like that? You got to be kidding me. No, it's not a setup. It's a giant.
What are you talking about?
Giant reindeer or something. God.
You haven't seen 800-pound whitetail? They're everywhere.
Yeah, man. So whether the
Tennessee.
Whether the hit on Jay Brooks was dirty, I don't know, because I felt like another thing. My wife, it kind of said the same thing. She said, what? She said, like, because was he talking about, was he talking about what I think he is kind of like as the dude pulled up, it felt like he kind of twisted around his ankle or something like that as he was pulling back up. I don't think that's where anything happened. It's pretty clear to me where it happened. It was his right leg, and the guy was coming in, and it kind of got him on the between his ankle and the side of his shin. And I told my wife right then, I said, he's out for the season. But, guys don't act like that. And she's like, well, it was dirty because he pulled up on it. I was like, well, that wasn't it. It was excessive, but it was the hit that did it. It wasn't.
Yeah, I think it was. I agree with you. I think it was a dirty play, like a little bit, but.
I'm not sure there's anybody that has that level of strength in their wrists and their hands to be able to tear somebody's anterior cruciate, whatever cruciate ligament, just by twisting the bottom part of their ankle. It's like, what? But Gary Big Daddy Lewis, my guy, man, is saying we knew Quinn was going to come back, Alex. Well, here's the one thing. We don't know that.
We still don't know. For sure.
We don't know that. If you listen to Catch, he has sources saying that a decision hasn't been made, and now we're all we're all jumping off the cliff of Quinn's not coming back. And I'm not saying it's a cliff, you know. I don't mean, but I mean, it's kind of like lemmings, just all going along with like this. We don't know that.
His source is Cody Carpentier. Says Cody Carpentier.
People talk about this, and if you want to say it's because of the way that he's played this year, I think that that's fine, right? I think that that's fine. It's gonna mean that Malik Murphy probably leaves. It's gonna shake up the way that things look. Clearly, it'll be better for Texas going into their first SEC season.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as simple a thing because here's where fans can get it differently than maybe from the experience and or the line of thinking from a player or the line of thinking of as far as stakeholders around the team. Because for the fan, and look, I mean, you guys know me, Longhorn tattoos, like, I mean, you know, class of 2003, right? I know the way fans think about this stuff. And the way it is you're taking everything that you want, that you think would be cool, and you're double counting that as a thing that Quinn would necessarily think would be cool, right? And so for Quinn, it doesn't factor into his mind. It does, like, if there's a pro column and a con column, right? As far as his decision to come back, right? Something on the pro side of the ledger for him is not going to be Texas's quarterback situation is greatly stabilized coming into its first year in the SEC. That's not something that Quinn thinks about from his side. He's having to make a personal decision here. He's not making a decision for the good of the team because and the reason is that he's making a decision whether or not technically to leave the team, right? He's thinking about himself. So whenever you know, fans say things like that, or fans say things like, you know, he can come back and, you know, even if he gets hurt again, like all the rest, it's like that doesn't matter. Well, for him, he's like, all right, here's on the pros side of coming back. One, probably not going to be as big a quarterback class next year. And that's the biggest one that I can even get on board with, right? I can. I've seen that he's fallen as far as the way that people view him, at least from the way that he could have been overhyped by the media and by all of us coming into this season. I still think he has great special arm talent. I think that I know that NFL scouts believe that. I know that NFL scouts know that they have members of their coaching staff that would fall in love with the guy. I also know that, say, before the 2020 NFL draft, did anybody know, like, were people just like, oh gosh, Joe Burrow is just a lock to go number 1 overall? No, they don't know. Things happen during the season. Things just happen. Like, college football happens, and you look back at it, and like, you're left with we're here talking about it every day. Things happen. We're left here to deal with the fallout and to understand what it means and make nuts and bolts of it. And so for Quinn, on the pro side, it is next year. It's kind of the devil I don't know versus the devil I do know, right? I know how this draft class is. I've seen how the nuts and bolts have shaken out. We have 2 games left in the regular season. We've seen how boards are stacking up. Now it's going to be up to you to project onto Quinn what his very good sources better than yours, probably better than mine, because clearly, like, I don't have any problem telling you this. I don't talk to any NFL general managers. I just don't. I mean, I don't know their phone numbers.
You talk to owners, obviously.
Yeah, I know the owners' phone numbers. I don't. Scouts, talk to them all the time. Know a ton of them. What scouts won't. What any scout will tell you is like, look, I have my opinions and stuff, but I'm not even allowed half the time they're not even allowed in the draft room. They give their input, they give their reports, they give the stuff to the GM. That by the time the coaches get done with this stuff and they get to the Senior Bowl and they start in earnest their evaluation stuff, there's gonna be a coach that says, "Oh my God, I love this kid." Reggie Wayne just gets done with his season and he starts watching these kids. He's like, "Oh my God, Josh Downs from North Carolina. Can you believe he's the best wide receiver in the class?" Scouts are like, "The best wide receiver in the class. What about my draft board?" It's like, I'm at wide receiver 8, but like it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. And so the input that Quinn is getting right now from actual agents who talk to actual GMs, right? Who talk to actual directors of player personnel. That's information that is better than information that we have access to. Okay. And so I view the information that would be coming from Quinn's side as far as the way he's feeling as being like paramount here. Because the number two thing the number one thing on the list is the number one thing on the list is the devil that you don't know, the quarterback draft class for next year, because that thing's far from sorted. It won't be sorted even after we get done with this season and after spring ball and after all the hype and everything like that. There's the second thing. It's where's he being projected right now anyway, right? What if he's being projected as a round 2 pick? Something that would be viewed as a precipitous fall from where he was considered earlier in the year. When you saw these mocks, him going at 6 overall, 8 overall, 10, 15 overall. What if he goes 50 overall, 55 overall? I mean, is he really going to, is Quinn Ewers really going to go that much? We talked about it. Like, is he going to go that much later than like Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins? I mean, it's just, what? Mm-hmm. Even with the draft class being what it is, it's like, what? The New York Giants this weekend had to line up Tommy DeVito, who still lives with his mother and his father in the basement of their New Jersey home, and can't literally this guy can't do a thing. I mean, have you looked around and seen? I mean, the Raiders are having to depend on like Aiden O'Connell, like the Falcons. The Falcons
position in the NFL.
The Falcons are having to play Taylor Heineke, Desmond Ritter platoon. I mean, it's bad. It's rough out there. Derek Carr plays for the New Orleans Saints. He stinks. And his backup, Jameis Winston, all he can do is throw picks. I mean, Mac Jones, one of the just horrible miss eval by me. He's terrible.
Sandman
behind him is terrible. Some of these guys have guys behind him who are just some of these guys are terrible and they don't need to be playing, and the guys behind him are even worse. Matthew Stafford's one bad hit away from them having to throw Stetson Bennett out there. Brett Rippon. So you're telling me a guy like Quinn Ewers goes any later than 50? I think you're crazy. And I'm gonna get to this super chat, but just let me get to this bit first. The people say it's like if he comes back, if he goes in the top, he could be a first round pick, and he's leaving all this money on the table, and the NIL money will make up for it and stuff. And I'm just like, I understand that a lot of people probably just don't understand how NFL contracts work. And they just don't understand and look, to the layperson, it is a lot of money, right? Like, just to tell me, Blake, how much what do you think? Like, all right, I'll pull up the pay scale. I mean, it isn't like this is a mystery. We know what this is. So let's just say, what did I say? 50? If he went 50, I mean, is there anybody out there that thinks he would go later than 50? That to me feels like worst case scenario. So you're looking at, let's say he got taken next year, number 24, something like that.
Sure.
Okay. Let's say it's number 24 to I wouldn't be the Buffalo Bills. Who might be picking to the Saints? Okay.
Oh, there you go.
He would get an estimated value on that contract, and since it would be a 5-year, it would contain a 5th-year option, right? That would be an estimated value on that contract of $14.658 million. Okay, over a 4-year deal, picked at number 50, say by the this could be by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, $7.642 million over the 4-year life of the contract. So I mean, if you break that up by year, like how much money are you really losing, considering the only way that you're going to get paid the massive amount is to be one of these later. I mean, how many of these later round guys have we seen? I could like Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr got paid a bunch of money. Russell Wilson got paid a bunch of money on a couple of contracts. These are guys that they're day 2 kind of quarterbacks, day 2 kinds of picks. On the con side of the ledger, what if Quinn thinks to himself, okay, well, I'm going to the SEC. The one good thing is I got my offensive line completely back. Like, that's good. That's great. That's a fair amount of importance. But man, I'm looking around here. I'm like, hey, where's Worthy? I'm like, where's AD? I like throwing it up to him on 3rd down. Like, where's Adonai? Where's JT Sanders? These guys still around? Jay Brooks. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it's like Jay Brooks. I'm not sure. Well, that's going to be another thing that people are going to hate. I'm not sure that it's in his best interest to come back. We're just talking about his own personal interest.
Well, Jay Brooks is being listed as the top running back in the class by multiple boards.
Kendre Miller tore his MCL in late December or in early January of last year. Still gets taken early round 3, and it's like he's going to be fine. It's not like Jay Brooks was going to be a 1st round pick. All these running backs are day 2 picks. He's going to be a day 2 pick. He doesn't risk his body for another season. I know that Cody was tweeting out that he's going to be a Blake Corum and he's going to come back. And look, if he wants to, it's fine. I can see it, but it doesn't matter. There's the Jay Brooks thing. I'm just talking about the man that's standing behind Quinn Ewers, right? It's a little bit up in the air. What's not up in the air is it's going to be Jonte Cook. It's going to be some guy named Ryan Wingo who he doesn't even really know yet. Maybe a transfer portal guy, Evan Stewart. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. But guys who he might not know as well, but then it's the guys on the other side of the line of scrimmage, right? And it's like, if I'm Quinn Ewers, do I, at this point, especially if you go on to win the Big 12 championship and you feel like you can leave Texas in a good spot, at that point you just say, well, what would be disastrous, and what's the biggest thing on the whole con side of the ledger is to say, what if I came back next year and things don't fall into place the exact same way that I would like? It feels like this year we coalesced into something where we're really ready to make a run. It feels like next year, regardless of what happens, there's going to have to be some kind of manual reset with a lot of these guys. And it's not just on offense, man. It's about playing complementary football on defense, right? And it's about the defensive line going to be gone. A lot of the best leaders, a lot of the best players on the whole defense are going to be gone. So if he comes back and Texas has a down year and it's viewed like that by everybody else, then I don't know, man. I just think that I would just say that at that point you're right back to being the same kind of day 2 pick. And what have you gained by risking your body?
Well, that's kind of the point, though. Is it worst case?
What are all these periods in the chat? What is going on?
Nothing.
Okay, all right. So it's a big practical joke here on.
They're just messing around. No. What I was going to say though is
I'm being cyberbullied and harassed on the internet. There are laws against this. Jay Ward, I can tell that you started this. And listen, YouTube can send us your IP address. We can put out we can dox Jay Ward and just have people send him boxes full of.
No, real quick though, what I was going to say about Quinn, you were just saying, all right, well, if he has another average year next year, he goes mid-second round, the same as he would this year. I think the risk is worth it for the potential of going top 10 to come back. Like that would be my opinion. If you're saying like if the worst case is he comes back and he does pretty good, but gets drafted mid-second round just like he would this year, I think it was worth trying to go for the boom, trying to go for the top 10 pick. Because those top 10 picks, I mean, your example was with the 24.
Yeah, well, I mean, top 10. Top 10. So what? 10th overall.
I guess it depends on what
You look
what
at
kind of potential his
22 million
captaincy
over
has.
5. You're looking at 22 million over 5. If you're number 1 overall, you're looking like 40 million.
Right.
But
So that would be the reason to come back and just if you're going to shoot for that. But
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Quinn Ewers is a top 10 NFL pick. Period. Maybe that's what I'm saying. I think he's going to come back and be Quinn Ewers, who's probably going to end up being a day 2 pick again. So, and hey, I got even better news about Jay Brooks, and we're going to talk about it next.
I think this is the other thing too for Quinn is, and it's going to be interesting. It's not something, it just came out a couple days ago, but I'll be very curious how the bowl games, not the bowl games, the All-Star games, how they look at Quinn. Will they give him an opportunity to come to the Senior Bowl? Will he get an opportunity to go to the East-West Shrine game? Will he take that? Will he want that? Because to me, that can be kind of the final stamp, the final nail in the coffin to say, yeah, this guy's ready. When the NFL decision makers, and I'm not saying scouts aren't, but when the decision makers, the director of college scouting, the GMs can sit down with these guys and look them in the eye and say, okay, let's talk for 15 minutes. Let me get a feel for you before we go to the combine. Let me watch you in practice all week, with this high, this mixed all-star group, high-level talent sort of thing. That could be something that really helps Quinn as well and helps some of the underclassmen. The thing is, there's so many quarterbacks in this class. It's going to be tough to pick which ones will go to the Senior Bowl, which ones go to the East-West Shrine game. And maybe Quinn doesn't need to do that. Maybe he finishes up these next few games and just rocks it, beats Oklahoma or Kansas or whomever in the Big 12 championship game, and then gets into the playoffs somehow and then rocks it then. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, maybe he doesn't need that. Maybe he doesn't need, because he's shown it all, maybe he doesn't need to go do it for another week. Maybe his status and his stock is rising that fast through that whole process. And look, we saw what happened with CJ. There were a lot of people that were down on CJ. And then he has that game against Georgia, and it was like, oh, no. I love that guy now. Well, yeah, you love him now. But what did you think about him, months ago? You weren't saying that months ago. You suckers had him going number 11 in your mock draft in November. So if Quinn does all that and really hits a hot streak, maybe he doesn't need that all-star game or that opportunity. And I'd be curious if he'd want it. But now it's actually available to guys. And I think that's going to be really interesting for those all-star games. And I'll be interested if that's the rule, whether next year, which doesn't help Quinn, but is going to help some players at Texas, A&M, et cetera. If they add another all-star game back, they had taken one away because – and I don't know why, maybe just funding, whatever it might be. But if you have underclassmen that can play in these all-star games, you might be able to fund another all-star game to give these guys an opportunity to showcase to do it again. So I'll be curious if that's something that's afforded to Quinn. And if I were him, I would take them up on it all day, every day, because you get that opportunity to be around. I mean, just the time you get with the decision makers is very, very helpful. And how many times have you read an article after a guy gets drafted? Oh yeah, well, we sat down at the Senior Bowl. We talked about this. Or we sat down at the college. We did this. Well, if you get that opportunity to do it in Mobile, then you can do it in Indianapolis. Then you get a 30 visit, and then you get a private visit after that. I mean, that's enough time for Quinn Ewers to say, look, it doesn't matter whether I'm 6'1", 200 or 6'8", 350. I can throw the rock. You can trust me. I can be the face of your franchise. And that's what Quinn Ewers is going to need. So, yeah, I think these 3 games, Chad, are going to be pretty important. But I think there's so much in addition to it to just add to his novel. And the longer that he makes his novel, I think the better for him, because I think the end of the novel is going to tell a different story than what the beginning of the novel told.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Oh, yes, Football with Friends is back, and we're having a bunch of fun here on a Monday. So happy, so happy to see everybody. Cody Carpenter saying Alex finna like that take from Harris. Well, it's Cody. It's technically my take, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. I'm not sure if that guy's been watching.
Go easy on John Harris. Come on,
Football with Friends or what? No. I'm just saying. I told you that I'm going to be insufferable the minute it becomes the whole narrative that Quinn Ewers should go to the Senior Bowl. But anyway, I'm not going to be insufferable yet. This is just now the idea is picking up. I can tell it's picking up steam. listen, speaking of picking things up, on the way out hunting this weekend, it was not a success as far as the axis were concerned, or even just like I think I saw a squirrel. Yeah. Oh, I saw some turkeys. But it was a big success as far as just getting a big, nice bottle of Casamigos. Blake, I splurged. I went with the Pine House electric jellyfish. I sent you a photo of it from inside the ground blind when I was sitting there. Very, very delicious. I can get it all at Specs. It's easy, man. Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods, world-class service. It's all about you.
How was that jellyfish?
It's great. It's good. I like it. I can't believe it. There's an IPA I like, but I like it. My guy Harish is in the chat. Harish was there the very instant that I was open to an IPA not being that terrible, right? So yeah.
Hey, we had the super chat from earlier too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We need to get back to that. But I want to get back to what John Harris was saying in that clip.
We'll get to that for sure.
Okay, super chat, $20. Oh, geez, thank you, Darkboard. Thank you, brother. Thank you,
Darkboard.
You should have told me, Alex. You need to shut up and get to this.
I put it up on the screen.
Okay. During early MAC era, players would say that all games are important, that OU was not bigger than any other games. Is Sark the anti-mag and that he treats scrubs differently and team fails to execute against bad teams? I've seen no evidence that that Sark treats. Do you mean like walk-ons? I think the walk-on program at Texas has been something that's like really cool. I think a lot of those walk-ons take a lot of pride in it. The parents of those walk-ons say that they're just like they get all the same food, they get treated the same way. It's the same, you know what I mean? It's the same kind of style of. And Sark's talked about it too before. It's like they get to dress for home games. They even take some of them to the away games and stuff like that. They do their best to, like, when the guys are showing out on especially on special teams and stuff like that during the times where they're having to play scout team. Those are guys that they look at, and they'll give the Michael Taff a scholarship. They'll give the Jet Bush a scholarship. These kinds of players. So I don't think that's it. The other thing about Mac Brown is that I thought the narrative about Mac Brown was that he was
scrub teams, not scrub players.
Oh, scrub players. Oh, scrub teams. Yeah. Okay. Because I was gonna say again, I'm like, I thought the thing was like he was like too nice to everybody. That's probably. I mean, that's something I've never thought of. But there's probably a million things that you guys think of that I've never thought of. Is he the anti-Mac and that he treats scrubs differently and fails to execute against bad teams?
I mean, he clearly has a record of playing down to his competition so far at Texas, but
can I? Okay, well, thank you so much for the super chat. Maybe that'll help me. And I got to get back to what John Harris said. No, treat scrub teams. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, yeah, clearly, I'm a complete idiot.
It's okay. It's all right.
If you think of Sark as a coach and you think about him, what did he start out 5-7? Then he comes just like, this guy's not a good coach. Then he wins like 7 games or whatever. What was it last year? 7.
Mm-hmm.
And because this guy's still, you can't even call him a good coach, right? I've started this year to think Sark's a good coach. Do you know why I've done it? It's because Texas has found a way to win games that they would have lost. And the one thing that I keep thinking about is that, Texas is 9-1 right now. And they're in a spot where they don't fall on their face, man. They don't. Are there times where you're like, oh gosh, what was that? The Oklahoma game comes to mind. It's like, what was that, right? But
hold on, we got Sandman in the chat already saying Texas is going to lose to Iowa State. What is this? 9-2.
I think Sandman's just trying to do these reverse jinxes and stuff, right?
Oh, maybe so.
Yeah,
fair enough. If so,
I would definitely hope so.
He's trying to correct it.
The simple fact is, it's like, do you want a football team that you say plays down to scrubs, but I mean they've still won those football games. And so to me, whenever I think about it, I just think to myself, maybe that's the case, and that's why I said you can extend Sark before you get to SEC play, simply because, look, maybe it goes back to status quo in these SEC games, because regardless of what you guys think, regardless of what I think, like, Texas is about to go into these games where there are going to be games that are one score games that go lay down to the wire every week, and you don't know if it's going to be a game that you knew about, if it's a game that's going to be one that you were worried about. You don't know if it's going to be, it could be Mississippi State, it could be some kind of Vanderbilt, lights on fire, they got some new quarterback that comes in that you weren't ready for, like, what? And it's like, and then there's no let up to it, right? It's even if Tennessee's bad or South Carolina or who knows, man, it's awesome to even talk about this, right? It's awesome to know Texas is going to be going and playing these games, and going to play like Florida, and even if it's a down year for a team like that, they have all the talent in the world. Are you kidding me? I think that Sark has now proven that in the Big 12, he's a coach that has gotten his team to play with a level of culture that can. There was a question today in the press conference. We'll talk about the press conference in a minute, but man, there was the question today in the press conference about what about finishing games and stuff. I thought to myself, well, man, if I was Sark, I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, you finish games by winning them. You finish games by winning them.
Yeah, there's still something to blowing, multiple score leads at the end of games and hanging on at the last second. Like, there's still something to that. Not that I disagree with. I mean, he's 9-1. He's 9-1. This is the best Texas team in over a decade. And that's just a fact.
Hacker's right. So good to see you, my friend Hacker. At least everybody hit that like button. If you guys could please hit like, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get up to 18K as far as the subs, and we love to get all the likes here, because Catches, I know the Catch is going to cut my pay if I don't get these likes up, dude. I get less likes than almost anybody else. It's because, listen, sometimes I say things that are small bit unpopular, but listen, we're just here to talk, and we're just friends. You can click like; it's free, right? So just go ahead and click the like button. I would certainly appreciate that. All right, so back to what John Harris was saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. It's like it's gonna turn out to be something to talk about, and when we talk about the idea of Quinn coming back, for one, look. I'm always going to trust Catch's reporting. He talks to good sources. Lord knows that he doesn't want to put anything out there if it's going to come back to bite him. It's like for Catch, he's just got the biggest target on his back of anybody in our whole media. I'm not sure why, but other people can report things that are just bad information that gets disputed the very next day, and nobody says anything. Nobody. If Catch does it, people make T-shirts and memes and stuff out of it that last for years, decades. And so whenever he comes out and says something big, like, he's hearing that Quinn's actually no decision's been made, but he's hearing that people on the Quinn side think that he could be coming back. Look, I put a lot of weight in that. Okay. And I'm not claiming that I know who Catch's sources are. I'm not purporting to know. I would never ask him, because I know me, and I would probably slip up and say it here on the stream and get a call from Catch. What the hell are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. It's just like, that's just how I am, right? I get on here and talk and try and make sense of things. What John Harris was saying is the same thing I've been saying about the Senior Bowl. You go to the Senior Bowl, man. If you're Quinn Ewers, do you want one more year in the? And I look, I know what you want, so I'm not asking what you want. Okay, I'm asking what he would want. Does he want to put his body at risk? And let's be fair. If you're going to say that one of the reasons that he's not going to be going as early as he would like this season, there's no way that these two things these two things cannot exist together. You cannot say, and I'm not telling you what you can and can't say. I would never tell you that. But I'm just saying logically, you can't say this. You can't say, on one hand, his draft stock has been hurt by the fact that he's been so injured all the time. Okay? You can't also say it's a smart idea for him to come back and risk more of the same injury, right? It's like, if you're saying that he needs to come back, you need to be saying he needs to come back because he needs to show that he can play better. Right. That's the only thing that makes any sense from a complete logical standpoint. So do I think he could play better? Yeah. Do I think he will? And it's the first year of the SEC with Sark adjusting to it. We just talked about how Sark, Are these one score games going to be the same? Is this culture going to transform itself to being one that can do this same kind of thing in the SEC? Because there are going to be close games. And if you guys are going to be wrecking yourselves over the fact that this game only got won by 3 points, or God, they should have, Sark should have taken 3 extra points. They could have been up by 10 here. And in the SEC, those things are just going to get the magnifying glass put on them, right? Those are just going to happen. And I hate to say it, you're not going to win every football game. You're just not. With the additional losses of weapons and things like that for Quinn Ewers, if he did get an invite to a Senior Bowl, to a Shrine Bowl, in a setting where he knows better than anybody else, I know this, man. Quinn Ewers would look awesome at a Senior Bowl. He just would. There's no contact. There's not a lot of pressure. These wide receivers are super good. They're some of the best in the whole nation. You could put them kind of anywhere near them. They're gonna catch it. It's versus half the time it's versus air, right? These receivers have a built-in advantage versus these corners and these in these one-on-ones, right? They play very, very vanilla defenses, one and two high. It's the kind of situation where Quinn. I mean, Blake, how many times do we say it, or Jason says it, or when you walk onto the practice field, and if you're an NFL scout and all you're just watching is them throwing in 7-on-7s or throwing in one-on-one drills and stuff like that, you're like, well, that's an NFL player, right? He looks good in that kind of setting. So the question I'd be asking myself is, if I do get an All-Star game invite, how much more could I buoy my stock by going to that All-Star game, not risking getting hurt, not risking there being all kinds of complicating factors of these other players who I'm not going to be playing with again next year, all new conference, weird schedule where you got to go to Michigan, and then you got to get into the meat of the SEC schedule. And then if you don't win, people are going to say, wait, was Quinn Ewers even that good to start with? And blah, 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 and all the rest of it. Or do I go to the Senior Bowl and I meet with all the GMs and I smile at them, give them a firm handshake, look them in the eye, tell them this, tell them I'm excited to be here and just show you what I got. Go out and look like Quinn Ewers looks in a practice setting. That right there could be the thing that raises him 15, 20 spots in the draft process. I've said it. Look what it did for Josh Allen. Look what it did for Daniel Jones. Look what it did for Jordan Love. Look what it. These are dudes who weren't locks to go top 10 at all. Justin Herbert, not at all. People said that Justin Herbert couldn't play. They said he couldn't play. I don't think there's anybody out there who says that Quinn Ewers can't play. He would almost be starting from an elevated spot. But how much of an easier path would that be to go to six days in Mobile, 4 total practices, and 1 stupid game where they can't even hardly hit the quarterback, and the scouts don't even look at it anyway. They look at you in practice. So look, I feel like there's a lot for him to consider. Clearly, the decision hasn't been made. Catch's reporting is that the decision hasn't been made. If he comes back, I think that's great for Texas fans, right? For me as an analyst, somebody who watches the team, I'd love to see Quinn come back for a couple different reasons. One, probably get better viewership on the shows if you have a football team that's kind of winning and, it's got, right? It's clearly we've seen that.
Do you want, a third-year Quinn Ewers coming back, or do you want a freshman Arch Manning starting in Ann Arbor, second game of the season? Golly.
People might just tune in then to just see the fallout of the disaster, just how fans are dealing with it, or what the prescription is. What Adam De Leon is saying is that, but he could come back and ball out. If he comes back and doesn't do that,
it's a big bet on himself,
and he doesn't deserve to be a top 20 pick. Don't you understand that? I think we're saying the exact same thing, and why I'm just trying to see it through his eyes versus seeing it through the eyes of a fan who would just love to see him back. I mean, we're saying the same thing. What if he's just not a top 10 pick? I mean, it's just.
So this comes down to whether his camp thinks he is. I mean, if they think, and the people around him think, yeah, you have that talent, that's where you could be by the end of next year, then I think, you would consider coming back if you think that's your ceiling. I mean, they're going to have a lot of confidence in him, I'm sure, but what are the people around him? What are the agents? What's everybody telling him his ceiling is?
Well, I mean, I was clearly I'm going to need to, I'm going to check in with some good agents about this again. I mean, I've already asked. I feel like I'm asking this thing every 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, what about now? It's like they're going to tell me the same thing because he's coming out. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, look, like I said, I'll trust Ketch and his sourcing on this. But I also trust Ketch when he says that the decision hasn't been made. And that things have to be very, very fluid here. If we're talking, Blake, if we're talking about a situation where, and I hated it though, I mean, it's fine that this is the show. It's like, it's fine, but we still have the defensive stuff to get to. And all this, if we're talking about the idea that 3 extra games at the end of one season are going to be the thing that just changes his plans, and it's all fluid. And if he doesn't play that good for these last 2 to 3, it should be at least 3 games or 4. It should be 4 games, right? He doesn't play that well coming into these 4. And by the 4th game, I guarantee you, he's going to have a decision made, and he's not going to have a contract with his agent, but he's going to have an agent, because at that point in time, these guys need to start talking to their agents about, well, do I play in the bowl game and stuff like that's just what happens now, right? They'll sign the contract the minute after they don't need their eligibility anymore to be able to get on that football field. So if the decision is being made on the fact of just 3 to 4 football games, and that's what's going to be what, if he plays well and things are all fluid, and then it's like we're back to the whole NFL thing, it's why would one of these all-star games not come into the exact kind of consideration? We're talking about, what, 200 snaps of football. You get through that, and you get through that through the 3 Senior Bowl practices, and you're going to look better. So people might say it's like that doesn't matter, it doesn't help. Well, I'm telling you,
when are those games, Alex?
When's this? What, the Shrine Bowl?
Senior Bowl? Yeah, Shrine Bowl. All those games.
It's the weekend between the. Okay, so it starts.
It's like a month. Like I don't know when those games
It's
are.
the weekend between the championship games and the Super Bowl, when that's a dead week. It's the same week as like the Pro Bowl and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's that week leading into the weekend of the Pro Bowl. And the Shrine Bowl does a little bit differently because they do their game on Thursday night now. So they start practice on like Sunday and stuff like that. Senior Bowl practices start on that Tuesday.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, it'll be like February 2nd or something.
Interesting. I mean, something we're going to keep an eye on moving forward. What we start hearing out of Quinn's camp.
We're going to keep an eye on the whole thing about whether the star quarterback's coming back. Yeah, yeah, man, I think so. And then just as long as we're just talking about this stuff, there was something that so Oscar Elizondo, people, Oscar Elizondo, so good to see you, my friend. Man, so good to see all you guys, dude. If y'all are in here, man, if you could please like the show, click subscribe to the channel. I'd certainly appreciate it. If you have questions for the show, you can email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. Also, we need new sponsors. I'm actually talking to some people about sponsorships right now. But if you're interested in sponsoring the show, we have some great sponsorships available. You can email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. We've certainly done a good job for our sponsors so far. We can give them as references and things like that. Alex@rosterwatch.com. Okay. People saying fire Sark. Who do you replace him with? I think they're just messing around. Oscar Elizondo. I think you might have been had by the chat, kind of like I was earlier with those periods and all the rest of it. Yeah. So I don't think that's
to the spirit of the question. There aren't very many head coaches I'd take over Sark right now, though. Like Nick Saban.
I mean, that'd be an interesting thing to just talk about. Like, I don't know. I don't think that there would be I don't think that there's any kind of groundswell right now to fire Sark. The only halfway negative thing that I would have ever even said about Sark is there's no way that you can extend him before you see how he plays in the SEC.
I was bamboozled.
Why are we talking about Bjork in the chat?
I don't know. There's been a lot of talk about Bjork just because of the Jimbo thing going down throughout the day.
What does that have to do with Bjork again?
Well, he's the AD at A&M.
Oh, that's his name?
Ross Bjork.
I don't even know. Bjork. Okay. I thought they were talking about the 90s singer that sang in that weird Icelandic language. You know that lady? No. Oh, Bjork. Come on. What about Jay Brooks?
Yeah, and you know what?
He's a lock to come back.
Alex, I have another clip from John Harris if you want it. He spoke a little bit on, I don't know if he's the sideline reporter for the Texans, tied in with the Texans organization.
Well, hey man, let's play that clip and then we'll talk about it next.
One last one. One of our guys, Paxton, in the chat wanted, and knowing that you may have to get out of here quickly, you can take 15 seconds or as much time as possible. I'm hearing Jonathon Brooks. I think a lot of people in Austin are expecting when this season's over, after the year that he's had, that he would go pro. Your sense of one big year, but yeah.
Right here, baby. I'll take him. I'll take him all day, every day. Downhill, physical. I know we have Dameon Pierce, we have Devin Singletary, but I just feel like Brooks, being the decisive runner that he is, would potentially fit this scheme a little bit more. I think there are a lot of teams that would feel that way. And again, for running backs, it's so tricky, man. The amount of hurt and pain they go through. I mean, I just see it with Dameon. I mean, he's in his second year now, and he's banged up. He's got an ankle issue again. Last year he missed the last 3 or 4 games. We talked to Motor Devin Singletary each week, and he's like, man, like you just don't even know how these guys feel. So getting your clock started, for the NFL, and I think Jonathan's done a really good job. Here's the other thing too with running backs. Whereas quarterback and wide receiver are really, really, really deep, I don't think running back is. I feel like running back is going to be throughout the league. You're going to have 32 teams. You could easily have 10 to 12 guys. Hey, who's your number one guy? And there could be 10 to 12 different guys. I would guarantee you that Jonathon Brooks is going to be somebody's number one guy. I can almost promise you that, because it's not a tremendous class. It's a good class, but I think it's diverse in that teams are going to look at it. Well, I think this guy would fit us better. He'd be our number one guy. For us, it might be a different guy, but I can tell you this: he can play in this league, and if you can play in this league, better to start sooner than later. And I know that sucks to be a Texas or an A&M fan and hear that, but that's the truth, is that you get your clock started, and you get to a second contract, and your body holds up. You just stay another year in college. I mean, Blake Corum has, been lucky because he hasn't had to have as many carries, but if he was going to have to carry Michigan like he did the year before, he was going to break down before the end of this year. And then he's coming to the NFL as kind of a broken version of a really good running back. And you obviously don't want to do that. So it's always a tough decision for running backs, but he might be another one catch. He gets an invite to go to the Senior Bowl. And as long as he holds up in pass pro, which is where some guys have earned jobs because of that, I think Brooks would be also put on a show here in the Senior Bowl too.
Yeah. All right. So look, it's football with friends. Welcome back, man. We're having fun today. We're having fun. The chat's having some fun with me, and I'm having fun listening to John Harris's takes. This dude thinks a lot like me. He thinks about the draft. He thinks about these Longhorns. He talks about the Senior Bowl, the combine.
That's why I pulled those clips, Alex. I was like, "Ooh, Alex gonna love this."
Yeah. So, but that clip was from last Friday. That clip was from
correct
from before he got hurt, and what he said at the end was that you don't want to be a broken version of one of these really good players coming out. Right. He did say that, right? He's talking about the injury risk of coming back for his senior year. Well, unfortunately, Jonathon Brooks, his season came to that end this last week, and he was number one on a bunch of teams' boards. It's like he just was. The fact of the matter is, even with the medical, you can still have a guy be number one with a medical. Guys still leave whenever they're hurt. They still leave. They don't. I mean, technically ACL it's pretty tough, right? But I think wasn't Jameson Williams like he was super hurt, like he was wearing some kind of weird thing at the combine, and he came out whenever he came out. I can think back to these combines, even like with guys like, there are multiple ones every single year. Even guys that come out of Tank Carradine from FSU, like even back when they used to do the combine inside Lucas Oil Stadium where the media day was. I can think of a million of these dudes. With Jay Brooks, I talk about a guy who running back is at this point, unless you're Bijan Robinson, maybe unless you're Jahmyr Gibbs. I do think that the Lions reached on Jahmyr Gibbs, but guys like even even Breece Hall and Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb and like all these guys, they don't go first round anymore. They just don't. Do you know where they go? If you're the best ones, they go pretty quick off the board on day 2. Pretty quick. He's not going to be anything more than a day 2 pick if he comes back next year, right? And again, like Quinn, it's a situation where there's built-in risk, right? The built-in risk for him is the fact that, clearly the offensive line is intact, but the schedule is harder. I don't think it's going to be as easy to run on the SEC. That I could be completely wrong about that. Maybe I'm overblowing the level of competition in the SEC versus the level of competition in the Big 12. This year, I don't think so, because I watched these teams in the Big 12 play patty cakes with each other, and bad teams beat bad teams, and who even knows is good, because Oklahoma State lost this weekend. Like they're like
He
these
got smoked.
there are these teams where it's like you're just like, what? Like, hold on. I thought Tech was bad, but they just beat. Like, hold on, what just happened? It's so.
And you realize the Big 12 as a whole is just not very good. It's just not.
So if you're Jay Brooks, I'll tell you what would result in Jay Brooks not being a day 2 pick. Comes back next year, tears an ACL again, and he's a 2 ACL tear guy, right? Then it's like, not only will he not go day 2 anymore, you don't know whether his explosiveness and his his overall twitch and everything like that will just be permanently and completely sapped.
Well, yeah, and that's the question, right? Like, does this ACL tear take him out of day 2? I don't think it does. I think he's definitely taken in.
He'll be fine. He won't be able to test. He'll be at his pro day, and he'll do bench press, and he'll do stuff like that, and it'll be just like Kendre Miller was last year.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be just like Kendre was last year, except I don't think there was anybody that Kendre Miller is their number 1 back. No one had him over Bijan. No one had him over Gibbs. A lot of people didn't even have him over Charbonnet. So, it's like, I mean, if you're Jay Brooks, it's almost like, to me, once that happened, I said, like I said, I told my wife, I said that we would we've seen the last of Jonathan Brooks at Texas. She's
unlike Quinn, Jay Brooks has put his best moments already on film. It's already there. We've seen what peak Jonathan Brooks is, and he's amazing. So they assume he gets back from injury, gets past that. That's who he is. For sure. I don't think he falls very far.
He's going to go to the combine. He's going to get the medical checks. The medicals are going to test out fine. He's going to get dinged a little bit for it, but they're going to say, look, do you know what he's going to be? He's going to be a non-participant in the rookie mini camps. He'll be a limited participant in the mandatory portion of OTAs going into the middle of June, and then he will be cleared for full participation in late July, and he'll hit the ground running with his team in August of next year. It's the exact timeline of what's going to happen with Jay Brooks. Because
I thought Hacker had a good comment earlier about what an ACL tear means now versus what it did 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Hacker, think about what it did like 100 years ago when our great grandparents were wandering around on these planes. You'd have a cane and you'd be hobbled. You'd be like a peg. You'd have like a peg leg for the rest of your life.
They'd just be chopping that thing off.
Yeah, it's like it's amazing the way these things are coming along. Did you hear what Aaron Rodgers told what's her name on the sidelines last night for the Raiders game?
No.
He said he's going to be back in mid-December off the Achilles tear. 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers,
unbelievable,
is going to be back mid-December off of a ruptured Achilles. Now I don't know if that's true.
They didn't have ACLs way back then, Alex.
Oh, you and your fancy new computers and your ACLs and your air conditioning. No, man. But look, man, I wish Jay Brooks the best, man. But I would definitely say that it's if he comes back, it's certainly Texas fans would like it. But that almost, gosh, I hate it's weird to even say. It feels like a bigger risk than Quinn, and I think it would be an enormous risk for Quinn to come back. As Blake says, it would definitely have a big payoff. You want to take the ultimate bet on yourself, go ahead, bet on yourself. It's like, about gosh, like for me, like I said, from a pure business perspective and from a pure just entertainment perspective and everything like that, I would prefer Quinn comes back. I prefer Brooks comes back. I don't think Brooks comes back though. I just don't, man. They can get those things fixed. And the other thing about Brooks too, not to say anything bad about his game, because there's not much that I don't like about his game, but he's at least he doesn't rely on, nobody's ever going to say that guy's going to run a 4.35 or something like that, right? He looks like a 4.5 runner. Whenever you're that kind of runner, it's like the margins are a lot easier to kind of make up whenever you're coming off of injury, right? Then to get back to that elite peak where you're like it's like they say with the best wide receivers, right? These wide receivers coaches talk about them like they're sports cars. They say like, well, it's like you love having them and they can corner perfectly and they can, when they're in their tip top shape, right? Mm-hmm. But gosh, there's always something with like, if there's just the smallest issue with the rear differential or there's anything, anything going on with your drivetrain, then it's just like they go kaput. They're just, they're high level performance, cars and just little things like that.
Yeah, replace the fluids in the belts every other week.
Really like screw them up, right? With Brooks, I mean, Brooks is just a tough, punishing downhill slasher. They has great vision, great patience, great ability to find the holes and wiggle and get to the second level, and then enough speed to where he can get by second level guys. But he's not going to be anybody who you draft to just completely. It's not, he's not going to be a guy who anytime he gets the ball in his hands, he's a threat to take it the distance and at the next level. He's just going to be a really good runner. So, I don't think that. I think when you're that level of guy and you're playing running back, and we have the running back class that is, look, John Harris says it's good, not great. I don't understand what he means by that. I've started to do some work on him. I think that this running back class. I've been telling people with their in their dynasty leagues, like this is a year that for super flex, you're super pumped, right? Because in super flex, you can play two quarterbacks in dynasty as far as rookie drafts. There's gonna be a lot of these quarterbacks you can just pick off, man. In 12-team leagues at the end of your first round, the wide receivers look awesome. The running backs just don't look strong. And just from having that background and just knowing that and doing this stuff professionally, I could tell you, it's just like Brooks, like. There are a lot of like we talk about the pros and the cons deal with Ewers. To me, it feels a lot like so many more on the pros side as far as leaving when it comes to Brooks. Even though I know it stinks to hear.
That's running backs in general. Like you got to go.
You got to go. You got to
get the opportunity.
It's the nature of the position. Mm-hmm. Super chat. Oh gosh, Darkborg, thank you so much, and thanks to everybody here in the chat, man, for being here again. It's Football with Friends. It's always just so much fun. Me and Blake love having you guys here with us. If we could ask if you could please like the show, subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, or if you have any ideas for the show, comments, whatever. If it's super rude, I'll forward it to Blake. But you can email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. Okay. Didn't Hodges so Darkborg? I thought that might have been a joke with the whole Bjork thing. But it is Darkborg. Super chat $5 US. Thank you, sir. Didn't Hodges Mitchell come back his senior year and blow out his knee during the bowl game, killing his draft stock? Same with Frank Gore, Willis McGahee. Well, we know Frank Gore had the multiple ones. But I mean, you got to point to Frank Gore and say like, well, look at him. He played till he was 85 years old, and he did. But it's like Frank Gore just. If there's ever like a nuclear attack on America, I'm listening to this audiobook right now about about North Korea sending an electromagnetic pulse down over Colorado, Iowa, and Virginia, just taking our whole power grid just off.
It sure didn't hit Texas on Saturday because me and Chad got booted off off the watch along show at the same time.
Whenever that thing happens. Like the fallout gets like because they do it way up in the sky, like 60,000 feet, and they detonate the nukes. And whenever you do that, the storms come in that like fire down like radioactive fallout, like rain, and it like nature heals itself, right? But when that fallout comes down, it's like if you're not in just like super shelter and stuff like that, you're in big trouble. Like. If that ever happens, in the USA, just go to Frank Gore's house. He'd like that guy. That guy will survive that guy will survive anything. So you can't point to Gore and say this stuff, right? Two ACLs and 2 consecutive seasons would be devastating. You're not talking about day 2 anymore. If he's sniffing day 2 still in the weak running back class, he's got to get out of here. He cannot take it. Let's see. Somebody asked, Money B said the TCU dude twisted Brooks' leg. I know, and we talked about it earlier, but I don't think that is. I don't think that is what did it, right?
Yeah, this was Colby's question earlier.
Right. So I don't think that the tackle was dirty. I think that the way he got up and kind of held his by his ankle and his lower calf was kind of maybe felt a little bit dirty, especially knowing the conclusion of it. But it was something that, it was. I don't feel like that was the thing that caused it. Whether it could have caused more damage, it could have. It could have caused it. But I don't think that was the main thing that did it. I mean, if you go back and look at the hit, you can look and see where it hits him. It's like right. It's like right there to see. You can almost see when it happens. But so yeah, I don't think the hit was dirty. Let's see, super chat from Football Junkie. Thank you so much, sir. We have $4.99 for Football Junkie. Hey Alex, what round do you think Byron Murphy and Jay Ford will go? Do they test well? Byron Murphy will test excellently. I think he'll go day 2. I think he'll go probably round 2. And Jalen Ford, I don't think he'll test as well. And I think he'll probably go. Blake, isn't Jalen Ford kind of a day 3 guy? He's an off-ball linebacker, very productive. Not sure he's going to test extremely well. He feels like a round, an early day 3 round.
Yeah, I think early, like 4. I think maybe he goes round 3, but probably more likely round 4.
Yeah,
my guess.
Oh my! So who is this? Who is it? Text guy 2 says, Alex, nuclear war talk is not fun. It's a book I'm reading. I'm talking about Frank Gore surviving the electromagnetic pulse, right? But that Frank Gore probably. Here's the thing about Frank Gore: not only will he survive it, he probably has this big, awesome, giant, awesome house, underground bunker, places he can go, things he can find. He can afford the nicest house. And if you're looking to sell your house in the DFW area, you have to call Val Garcia. No, Frank Gore was never in the DFW. What? No, he wasn't. But Frank Gore would have called Val Garcia. Do you know that Val Garcia will sell your house for free? If you work in the ministries, if you work in education, he will sell your house for free. He gave out like $65,000 in fees last year, guys, alone. So if you know anybody in DFW, any of the cities, anywhere in DFW, you have to let the people who you know up there, tell them to work with Val Garcia, because even if they're not educators, even if they don't work in the ministries, if you tell him you heard about him on Football with Friends, he'll sell your house for half price. Half price. You heard it right. A 1.5% fee at ValenRealty.com. Val Garcia, you'll work with him personally, but you'll also get the support of his 14 agents that he has in the field all over the DFW area to help you with your make readies and help you, your open houses or staging, all the rest of that. Val Garcia wants to get your home sold, and he's going to do it for half price. He's going to save you tens of thousands of dollars doing it, and you get to work with one of the coolest dudes that I know. He's Val Garcia. You can find him at ValenRealty.com. His phone number is 469-647-8729. He truly, truly is one of us. And if you're one of these guys, if you're one of these guys that does need an underground bunker, you do need any of these kinds of materials, Val will help you find that kind of house for sure. ValenRealty.com.
Temple Belton, that's a little bit of a stretch, I would say. I wouldn't consider that DFW.
Well, at least call him and ask. Say, is that DFW enough?
You probably know someone in Temple or Belton.
For sure. All right, we have a bunch of stuff to get to. So that's where I am after an hour and 14 minutes. That's where I am on Quinn and Jay Brooks. We'll follow up on this as new things come to light. All right, let's talk about today's. Oh, look, I got a progress report for my kids in the old email. I'm gonna have to check. I'm not going to check that. I'm not going to check that on the air. I'm sure they did fine. Okay. Let's let's see. Okay,
Sark
Sark.
candy out of my drawer.
Sark today. Blake, let me know if there's any super chats. I just have my notes pulled up.
Well,
Fourth quarter, he just said we didn't play good football. He talks about the 8-yard curl route that went for 40 yards. You know how Sark always talks about this. We can't let them get any more than the play is designed for. Teams, and I say this too. Teams are going to design plays that are going to hurt you every now and then for what they're designed to do, right? That's how football works. You're never going to stop a team from producing offensively, not completely in almost all scenarios, right? But that 8-yard curl route, man, that was T. Brooks just playing way too far and off coverage, and that was Derek Williams just taking way too bad an angle on him. And when those kinds of things can happen, what's that guy's name anyway again? Savion Williams.
Yeah, I was gonna bring him up because I saw the post game chat.
That guy is good.
That
guy is good. And Ketch was saying in Slack, go after that dude. That's the dude. You go.
Not just on Slack. Ketch has been saying it all day. They need to go get Savion Williams in the
good, big hands. He's got the big white hamburger helper gloves. He just like Adonai whenever he just reaches up and snatches them. But also, dude, the way he's big, he's fast. He's got those. I love his hands. And then the other thing is. The way he can find those he just finds that little spot in the zone against T. Brooks. He's like, man, this guy's way too far back. I'm just gonna sit here real quick. I'm just like, those are things that you can't allow to happen, right? Too many of those things happen. Next thing you know, you're in the Oklahoma game again, especially in that fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
It's too there. You can't do it. He said that the third down conversion rate was unacceptable. He said Texas didn't punt he said he was tilted about the punts. He said we weren't punting it like we punted it all year.
He's right. Sanborn was off his game.
Was it? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't.
Well, usually I notice because Sanborn is booming it down. He's pinning it inside the 10, but wasn't a whole lot of that going on. But
Sark says those things are all way out of character, and you know what? I'm willing to give him some grace and say that's kind of true. It does feel like it's out of character. On the whole, but there have been times, right, in games wherever these kinds of things have cropped up to some degree, right? And I do think that whenever they, I mean, you have to clean it up. And he's just saying that he's talked all day today about how unacceptable that is, especially to end these games. And I know that kind of goes against what I was saying earlier. It's like, to close a game means to win a game, right? But you don't want to give them extra chances. All right, on the offensive line, he says it's 2 weeks in a row with no sacks, so that's always good. Really clean game, ran the ball effectively, but we need to be better in our short yardage situations, and that's just so true. My deal is, man, if you're going to put in Savion Red in short yardage situations, I get it. We're probably going to see more of it now. But, man, if you're going to do this Savion Red thing, why not add a wrinkle onto that thing? I mean, I think he can throw, can he? Or can he pitch it to somebody or do something besides?
He can at least hand it off.
Besides taking the ball, but Blake, he doesn't. There's not even a mesh point bit of action with it.
Yeah, there's nothing.
It isn't.
He just takes it and runs.
It isn't like he's riding it like they do with the old Vince Young zone read stuff, where he's riding it down to the mesh point, then pulling it. No, he gets the ball, he's holding it here in his hand, and he just sits there and waits for a hole. And look, I'll give the guy credit. I mean, he's a tough runner. There were times.
Can I say? And I know you haven't done the offensive line yet, so you probably haven't rewatched the snap. But they ran that Savion Red play. I thought the offensive line did a decent job making room. I feel like he hesitated too long and got stuck behind the line of scrimmage.
He stands back there too long.
If he'd have jetted, I thought he'd have gotten it easily.
But it's just his style. It's his style. It's just what he does. I don't know what it is. He's got some like Le'Veon Bell to him. He kind of likes to flutter back there and then make his move. Like, that's just what he does. But here's the thing: defenses know that he's going to do it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I have not done the offense yet. I just finished the defense. We still need to talk. We still need to talk about that. But the I think that in those short yardage spots, Sark is right. It's true. Texas shouldn't be having those issues. They have a good offensive line. They have guys who can move bodies. I would tend to maybe run a little bit more behind the right side of the offensive line. See how that goes. Not that it's bad to run behind Banks. It's not bad to run behind Banks, but I just do think the combination of Christian Jones plus DJ Campbell is a better one to run behind than maybe Banks plus Connor, if we're just talking about pure run game. So that was it. On Brooks, he said, of course, he's going to be missed, whatever. It's going to be, but he did say it's going to create opportunities for he was asked 2 questions about the running backs, and he always listed them in this order: Baxter, Blue, Robinson, and Red, right?
That's interesting.
Yeah, both times he listed them like that. And so when you look at the offensive skill participation and how the fallout for this is going to go, and we'll talk more about this when we get to the offense, if we ever do get to the defense. Just the skill player stuff. So on the season, Jonathan Brooks was a 55% participant. CJ Baxter's a 41%. I'm sorry. On the season, Brooks has been a 63% participant. Baxter's been a 27% participant. Keelan Robertson's been a 7.14% participant. Jaden Blue's been a 6.98% participant. Savion Red has been a 3.08% participant. Okay.
And how is that shaken out over the course of the season, if you don't mind me asking? Like, I feel like we've been seeing less of Keelan Robinson and more of Jaden Blue as the season has gone on, but I don't know if that's accurate or if that's just my feeling.
No, we're seeing a shift. We're seeing a definite shift from Keelan Robinson being used minimally to now Jaden Blue coming in there and just like, so Keelan Robinson's had these games where in these, so going back the last 1, 2, 3, 4 games before this last one, Keelan Robinson didn't play more than 4 snaps, right? But the games before that, he had games where he's playing 9 snaps, 4 snaps, 8 snaps, 11 snaps. He had one versus Baylor where he only played 2. So he's playing super minimally anyway. But the thing about this whole thing is now it becomes Baxter probably going to be a 65% snap participant. I'd imagine Blue's going to move up to, say, 60 to 65 for Baxter, right? 55 to 65 for Baxter. 30 to 35 for Blue, and then whatever extra 10% there from the take one or the other, take it off of Blue or up for Baxter or whatever. You'll have 10% of snaps left that are going to go to Keelan Robinson or going to go to Savion Red, because Keelan Robinson is, these last few weeks he's played 1.52% of snaps, 6.78% of snaps, and 1.35% of snaps. So he's not playing much at all. And so, dude, Sark said it in his press conference today, and I was so glad to hear him say this, because twice he was asked about how the rotation would work, and Joe Cook today was asking him about, now what have you seen out of C.J. Baxter and Keelan Robinson? And he said, look, I'm a lot more, I'm a lot more comfortable right now with having to go to CJ Baxter than I would have been 4 weeks ago when his foot was still banged up and he was still hurt. Like, at least now he's back healthy and stuff like that. And it's a time where we've started integrating Jaden Blue in more and more. And you guys have seen it. You guys have seen the big long touchdown run, and y'all have seen, like, to my eyes, Jaden Blue's looked good. And to my eyes, as a prospect, he was awesome. We've had this conversation on here before about Jaden Blue and about how he fell in the recruiting rankings, and he fell just in the eyes of a lot of people because they were just so tilted because they thought he was going to start this new thing about sitting out your senior year of high school. It's just, they're like, oh no, he's ruined. They're going to ruin high school football too. No, I don't think that's been an issue since, right? Like, I think he seemed like he was going to be the pioneer of that whole thing.
Him and Quinn leaving to go to Ohio State a year early was kind of,
it's a little different.
It's a different situation, but it was part of the whole conversation of, oh my gosh, these guys are sitting out, they're leaving early, they're doing this.
I think leaving early is a different conversing though, right? Than staying in high school, sitting out and not playing football while your teammates play.
He was going to IMG at the time, right?
No, wasn't it? Was he at IMG at that time?
Who am I thinking? No, maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Hold on, Jaden.
Yeah,
man, that was such a weird recruitment because he was the top running back in that class, or one of them.
I remember his highlights, and I don't remember that being an IMG. I could be wrong, but I don't think that was an IMG uniform.
No, Klein King.
Yeah.
I thought it was IMG is I was remembering this picture of him that I'm looking at, and their uniforms look identical.
Okay.
IMG.
All right. Well, But regardless, so I think Blue is going to step up in like a 30% role, dude. Like as far as the dudes who are going to, I mean, clearly Baxter's going to have to step up. He's going to play more, but the dude who's going to play like the most, the guy who's getting the biggest increase here, almost certainly is going to be Jaden Blue. So, dude, it's just time to see, right? And for Jaden Blue, it probably couldn't come at a better time because I've always personally thought that he's good enough to where he's going to think, man, I'm not playing enough here. I feel recruited over, and all the rest of it. This is like his opportunity to show fans, show the coaches, show everybody that. I mean, he can. Jaden Blue. Man, Baxter's been good. Jaden Blue, in there's a world that exists where Jaden Blue could come in and look better than CJ Baxter. I know that won't be a comfortable thing to talk about or comfortable idea to have, but it could. I don't think it's likely considering the fact that he hasn't been able to really get in or be implemented that much until just recently. But it does say something these last few weeks. He has been kind of getting used more.
Jaden Blue is the more veteran player. Let's not forget that too. Like he was in class of 22 versus like we're assuming Baxter is the guy because he's come on strong and he started at the beginning of the season and so on. But like, I don't know. I feel like there is a lot of overlooking of Jaden Blue for sure.
Yeah. And what he said, well, I was so glad to hear him say with Keelan Robinson because Joe Cook said like, so what do we need to see about Baxter and Keelan? He's like, Sark answered about Baxter and Blue. And then he's like, and then Keelan, of course, like we're so glad to have him. Great on special teams, but and he's our change of pace guy, and that's how we need to use him. He's a dynamic player, great change of pace, all this stuff, special teams, change of pace. I was just like, oh gosh, thank goodness. I was flummoxed that there was a member of the media at Texas who follows his team so closely and watches them that would even think that Keelan Robinson would come into the fold any kind of volume back. Like, didn't we see how that went in the bowl game last year? I'll tell you, it's like it's not good. It doesn't look good. You can't give that guy.
Sark did start him. He started in that game. It didn't go very well.
But Brooks had the hernia. Remember?
Yeah, he was hurt.
He said that he still had that sport. God, that sports hernia sure did last for a while, didn't it?
That was a long one.
Have you ever had a hernia?
No.
Has anybody in chat ever
I'm sure
had
somebody's
one?
had one.
That sounds painful. That sounds painful.
I feel like I've dreaded the hernia over the years.
Yeah.
One.
Let's see. Other than that, man, Kirk Bowl was asked about the trouble that Iowa that they've had with the Iowa State. Whenever they went there in Sark's first year. And Sark said, well, there's been a trend when Iowa State, they were the pioneers of the 3-3 stack defense. And it was an anomaly of like, what is this? Teams playing in the Big 12 have moved to that, though, is what he said. He said, this is our third straight week playing that defense. In the end, they all have their own style. ISU plays it in its purest form, though. He said, they do a nice job of disguising coverages and pressures, but they know it and they do it so well.
Texas is doomed. It's over. They lose names. 3-3 stack. Done. In its purest form, Alex. It's insurmountable.
3-3-5 in its purest form. So does that mean from what all these cockamamie people that talk about it being is this like the purest form of kryptonite? Like just cut totally
pure
pure,
Colombian,
free of any abnormalities, handed to Sark, and what does kryptonite even do? Turn you into glass or something? I don't even know. But maybe if look, and we'll tomorrow we'll start talking about Iowa State. I'll watch Matt Campbell. I'll start watching the team, and we'll talk about them. I don't know if this game is going to be I think it's probably going to be a tough game because it's never easy to go into Ames, Iowa. I think it's at night. Is it at night, Blake?
Yep.
Night?
7:00 in Ames.
7:00 in Ames. Right. You can see it going a million different ways. I think Texas will win. I think Texas is going to win out. I think they're a good team. But if Texas is lucky enough to pull off a win here, can we just punt it? Can we punt this stupid narrative just into outer space? I mean,
yes, we can.
And even if they don't win, can we still punt it in outer space? It's just it makes absolutely no sense to me. Here's Sark talking about it, about how it used to be novel, but now everybody runs it. Does he really think that he can't call an offense against a defense that literally everybody runs? Sark can't play against a defense that lines up a 3 technique on the outside eye of the guard. He just that three technique just screws him up every time. He just it's like what? All right, look, man, we have the defense to talk about. I'm tired of these cockamamie reporter questions. We're gonna get to it next.
Now we're at a point where you can very easily see Texas having to punt this football in a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. This defense might be asked to literally make an ultimate stop.
I think now you're definitely going to see Texas they're not going to do anything to risk turning this ball over. So I think you're talking about a run play here. We're in really dangerous territory in this game.
No doubt.
Yep, they're running the football. It's more CJ, and he would not almost nothing there.
Have they really been outscored 20-3 over this section of the game? Like that's just, it's crazy.
But it's almost a reversal from the first half because TCU has almost 300 yards of offense and Texas has less than 100.
Man, Sonny Dykes has the look of a guy right now that won money in Vegas that he just found $100 and went to the roulette table and won.
What if they get that 2-point conversion or a pass interference or a hold when they tried to go for two? You know, or he just kicks the extra point and he's down by 2 and he can win the game with a field goal. There's 2 minutes and 6 seconds left to go in the game. And this thing is just gone into the world of absurdity.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to say it. And after all the stuff we've seen today, we've seen a couple teams had to get out of some crazy. Washington and Florida State had to get out of some crazy. They wasn't quite this crazy, though. 0 for 4 for Texas in the second half on third down. This is 3rd and 12.
I think Sark's going to throw it here.
I think you got to be real careful on third.
It's all gas, no brakes, Steve Sarkisian. But this is TCU's playing this like they think it's going to be pass.
Yeah.
They got 5 in the box.
Oh, taking a shot. Wow.
Oh, and he catches it.
Adonai Mitchell.
And that's ball game right there.
Man.
TCU's only going to be able to stop the ball one time. Wow. Talk about all gas. Oh, my God. Mitchell just run past. That's horrible cornerback play. But what a catch and adjustment that Mitchell plays. And how dangerous was that? Now the ball's at the TCU 46 or 48. I'm stunned by the absurdity of that play call.
Wow. That is such a gutsy play.
Oh, man. I thought we were going to get to the defense. Oh, that's football with friends. Oh, so pumped to be here with you guys again today. Again, Alex Dunlap, Blake Skaggs. Here every day, 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. So happy to see all you guys in the chat. We got Harish in the chat saying he can't wait till the 10-win narrative is punted. The 10-win narrative is going to be at Texas for as long as you and I both live, Harish. You just need to get used to it, brother. People around here love talking about 10 wins. Blake May says he's late to the show, but good to see you, man. He says he has to take his little boy to the doctor. Hope he's doing great, brother. And that you got the meds you needed or the advice or whatever else. Whenever I watched that play, they came out and I thought, I was certainly in favor of throwing the football. It's like it was 3rd and 12. But hey, man, maybe Catch's idea was I don't know, like pick up some extra yards to make the punt go a little farther.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm trying to think of so like 2 minutes left. How many timeouts? TCU had 2 timeouts. I guess you could try to burn one of their timeouts with a run, but I still think you can throw in that 3rd and 12.
Well, I just know that I know before the play started, and I didn't take a screenshot of it. I should have. But as they were, so Worthy was motioning out to the slot, right? And they circled, like the announcer circled him, and they said, all right, this is Xavier Worthy time. And I looked at my wife, I go, why are they circling Xavier Worthy? Do they not look at the top of the screen and see Adonai Mitchell one-on-one? Do they not see him manned up one-on-one? Are they crazy? Of course he's throwing to Adonai right now. Next thing you know, I'm like I told my wife, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I'm like, I'm not saying I told you so. I do. Agree. I am insufferable about this stuff. I do agree with Catch. That throw probably left a little bit to be desired. But dude, what a baller play.
It was good enough, man. Put it within reach. That's exactly what he did, and Mitchell made a play.
Yeah. No.
And Quinn, man, Quinn was that second half. He was clearly not 100%. I mean, he wasn't 100% the whole game, but
I impressed my wife with two takes, Nathan. One was that Jay Brooks' season was over the minute I saw that. I said, you wait and see. I don't want to be right, but I'm right. And then the other one was, you got through to Adonai. Yeah. So wasn't very happy to report that I was right about that first one. Happy Bo Davis week. Blake May in the super chat. Thank you so much, brother. Happy Bo Davis week. Bo went crazy on our two guys ago at Iowa State. Oh God. Yeah, he did.
Bus video.
Did. Yeah, man. And at that point in the season, my take on that was like, dude, that is a bad look for this team that they have somebody leaking that video or kind of leaking that audio and stuff. I think that when Sark talks about culture and stuff, I think that you can look at something like that. I'm not sure that would happen this year. Right.
No, I don't think so.
I'm not sure that would happen. It feels like they
I think if so, that person would probably be snuffed out.
For sure. All right, let's look at the defense. So for the player participation this week, you know one thing that stood out to me, Blake, and there's gonna be a million things to talk about here, but how do I make it bigger?
200%.
Oh, okay. Look at just this week. Just our weekly look at David Benda's snap counts versus 18.46
keeps dropping
to 81.54% for Anthony Hill.
He's going to be single digits next week, Alex.
Just wild, man.
17, 15, 12.
I'm not sure about that because the one thing that was sort of weird here was check this thing out that they're doing. So at the mic, so generally it's always it's always Ford, but look at this.
Did that say Anthony Hill played 81% of snaps?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
That escalated quickly, Blake.
It did.
I'm telling you, man. It's such a disparity as far as their snap percentages that now they're having to do this package where they actually put David Benda in for Ford. And I think they're realizing that Ford doesn't need to play 100% of snaps every single game.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They do this package where they put Benda in for Ford because now, dude, they're even doing this stuff where look, like what they want to do is they want to get Maurice Blackwell in there where he doesn't have to be this sub package guy, right? So they don't have to take the nickel out. They want to get Maurice Blackwell in at just a traditional off ball will. And when they do, they say, well, if we have him as a traditional off ball will, his body type, Benda's body type contrasts Maurice Blackwell's body type enough to where we can put Benda at the mic in those spots, right? We don't have to. So if we're going to have, a package where we have Blackwell in at kind of a sub package kind of player, we're going to have Ford in there. But if we just want him as the off ball will, the traditional inside linebacker off ball will, we can just put Benda in there with him. And we saw that happen here in this part of the fifth series. We saw it happen here for 2 plays. Oh, let's see. These aren't. When did it happen? So no, this part it happened. Oh, and they do it whenever they put in just sometimes in this sub package whenever they put in Jet Bush, right? So you have him at the mic here on these two. That's a sub package. This is not even a sub package. This is just them just rotating in a new mic and a new will instead of Ford and Hill just getting in Benda and Blackwell. Nothing else changed, right? It happened there. It happened here with the Jet Bush sub package again. I think it happened one more time in the game. No, that was it. So
Rhett's asking how many plays total did the defense run?
Well, it just if you count it up the way that I count them up, because I don't count penalties and I don't count throwaway or I don't count spikes or down balls and stuff like cockamamie PFF, but they ran a total of 65. Yep, 65 total plays, and if we look at the production chart here, not much change, right? Not much change at the very top. Jalen Ford is still at the very top, but like we talked about earlier, do you remember the T'Vondre Sweat play? That would have given him, so he wouldn't have got the 1 point taken off for the penalty. He would have gotten 2 points for the TFL. He would be tied right now for number one with Jalen Ford, having played 342 snaps to his 5.68.
And his snaps per production would have been so low. It would have been ridiculously low.
It would have gone down. Yeah. I wonder what it would have been. Oh, crap.
It was 5.3. Yeah.
The as far as the way that's trended, I mean, he played really well in this game. As far as Sweat, he had two tackles, the sack, 2 quarterback hits, a TFL, 3 run stuffs. He did have a missed tackle, but it's just like every week, man, he just stacks this stuff up.
He was a menace. He had that other sack that he missed that
yeah, and I had to charge him for that was his missed tackle. That's
the missed tackle?
Yeah. I mean, that's okay. I know it was a missed sack, but that's still a missed tackle. He had the dude he had the guy in his grasp. If it's just a pressure where he kind of hits him or something like that, I'm not gonna ever count that. But that is
you're welcome, Byron Murphy.
Yep. I had to do it. If I didn't do that and that play didn't get canceled for the extra TFL, he would be on the top of the leaderboard after playing just 342 total snaps.
I saw Nash posted a video of that play on Twitter after the game, and Sweat retweeted it with like a shaking my head emoji.
Yeah. Like, God. That's the stuff that he doesn't do. He doesn't do that stuff very much. But if you look at his snaps per production by week, a little bit of a downfall in just overall general efficiency for Anthony Hill and Byron Murphy, but really not that much. I mean, we're still here.
We're almost to the end of the season, and they're still in the low 6s.
Yeah, and that snaps per production cause. So for every 6.2 snaps, every 6.15 snaps, or whatever, those are the guys who are just here at the very top. So like Sadir Mitchell, Austin Jordan, these guys don't count. Xavier Bryce doesn't count. It's these guys that have played a decent number of snaps, right? But T'Vondre Sweat's actually dropped in this game down to 5.3. He's trending towards being the best. He's trending towards being the best defensive player that I've charted at Texas. And is that a weird thing to say? I mean, over the last decade, he's the best defender that Texas has had.
I can't remember somebody dominating the way he is in some of these games, man.
Somebody asked how Burke did in the game. Who's that asking about Burke?
Nathan asked about Burke.
His efficiency, it stayed about the same. I mean, he brought it back down. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the ninth most efficient guy on the team.
He moved up a couple spots in the rankings.
Yeah, in the rankings, he moved up. Where is Burke? Oh yeah, he moved up 2 spots. What did he do? Burke, 1 tackle, 1 assist, 2 quarterback hits, 1 TFL. It's good.
Solid.
I mean, how many snaps did your Burke play? I have it written. Let's see that's good for the amount of snaps, because as you can see, they're getting to play the buck a little bit more, right? But they're putting in some Justice Finkley over there, not much, but just anytime you see one of these outside linebackers out here, it's basically always going to take the buck out. And so they're not playing, every time they go to one of these sub packages, they're usually going to have the buck out of there because they don't like taking the nickel out to be able to get in that extra linebacker. So yeah, his overall participation in this game was he played Burke. He played almost
46 snaps. Yeah.
So it's actually a lot. It's actually
kind of back to what he was playing earlier in the season before the injury.
Yeah, because there was this little rant. There was this little So like competitive games, it's even more really. Look at this. I mean, that's a competitive game. U of H competitive game. It's kind of like where he's been in competitive games. Hurt, just back from hurt, back to normal, right? So yeah.
And then I was going to ask about Jahdae Barron before the end of the show. Just curious, You said he came back at the end of the game. I know he missed some time. We were worried about him being a little banged up.
Okay, so here's what happened with Jahdae Barron. You have where's the TCU? Okay, so here's what happened with Jahdae Barron. So he's at nickel this whole time. First series, second series, third series, gets hurt. At the end, he got hurt on the final play of the 7th series, and it was on the one wherever it was a swing pass to the outside. Do you remember it? And then he got blocked, and you could tell he was kind of hobbling back to the sidelines a little bit, right? And then you saw it was the swing pass out to the left, and then Gilbo comes in, and he comes in this whole time, right, for a few plays, and then I guess Barron kind of came. Or no. All right, no. I'm sorry. This is what happened. Gilbo, they were giving Gilbo these reps before Barron even got hurt. Okay?
He got hurt at the end of the 8th series. So
I think he got hurt at the end of the 8th series.
Okay.
And then so it was Gilbo this whole time. But then here mid-series in the 10th, they get Barron back in there. This play right here, which was the play where did Jared Wiley score on the wheel route?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the TCU scores.
That was the last play that Jahdae Barron played.
Mm.
So I guess he scored, or that was the last series that he played. After that, he didn't play anymore because he couldn't keep up with the wheel route. So that's what happened, and he didn't. Oh wait,
did Sark mention Barron?
No, this was this the wheel route? I'd have to look. I'd have to go back. Wait, dude, this is by series. This isn't by play. This has all been an idiotic exercise. Okay, hold on. That's why that's why it didn't seem to make much sense, right? I sorted it by series, but not by the play.
I got you.
So let's go back through this whole exercise. Okay. This play
that was the 8th series earlier in that.
This play right here was the Jared Wiley wheel route,
Yes.
and he didn't play again.
Okay. And then my other question, since we're looking at it, how did Gilbo grade in his place?
Gilbo's always good, man.
He's good, right?
Yeah, he's always good.
I keep wondering why Gilbo doesn't play more, but it's like, oh well, Jahdae Barron in front of him, like they're still
always
loaded.
good. I think he gave up a complete. There was one thing he did wrong. I think he gave up a completion or something. It wasn't nothing too bad. Gilbo.
I think Gilbo is awesome.
No, he's thrown out 4 times. He allowed 3 completions. He had 1 PBU, but good as far as his tackles and stuff. Did he miss a tackle? No, but no missed tackles. Bunch of these couple burns in this game, Blake. That's probably T. Brooks got burned. Everybody knows what that one is. Jahdae Barron got burned by Blake. Do I keep calling him Blake Wiley? That's a guy who I knew in college. I mean to say Jared Wiley. That was on the Wiley burn. But yeah, man, good game for a lot of these guys. Like I said, with Sweat, a little kind of off and on there through the middle portion of the game. Say the third quarter is probably where he sort of let up the most. Oh, Trill Carter's off the milk carton. He's off of it, right?
Let's go, Trill.
What, a sack fumble? Why didn't the school give him credit for a sack on that? They called it a TFL fumble, but I don't know. Maybe I guess nobody remembers it because Texas didn't recover. But I mean, the guy got back there, he got the quarterback to the ground and caused a fumble. So Trill Carter.
Speaking of causing a fumble, can we talk about we got plenty of time to talk about it later in the week, but that Whittington play, chasing him down after the interception.
Whittington's a dog, man.
Holy, that was insane.
One other thing I just wanted to point out, and we'll get more into this stuff tomorrow.
We got a super chat here in a second too.
Cool. As we just get through the defense, Alfred Collins, talk about guys who need to come back. Alfred Collins, he can come back, right?
Yeah, I mean, is he still a layover from the COVID?
I think
season?
so. I think they just keep
Yeah.
that. They kind of think with COVID, they're just kind of like, well, let's just kind of forget about that whole COVID thing we did. Like, if you want to stay,
Everyone
you can
has
stay.
unlimited
Yeah.
eligibility.
Yeah. God. Oh, okay.
As the person who updates the scholarship board, it gets very confusing.
I mean, he's playing bad, right? He's playing bad, and look at him. He's not playing anymore. He played 15 snaps this last game. Gavin Holmes played 3 snaps in this game, dog.
3?
Yeah, those are two guys who are not. Those are two guys who are certainly. He's losing. He is losing. Alfred Collins is losing snaps to Trill Carter, and the way that they're placating him is they're giving him a lot more snaps over here at. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was holding the thing. I thought I was showing this thing. The way that they're placating. Look at this. 15 snaps. But the way that they're placating him and the fact that Trill Carter's playing over him, look at this. I mean, comes in, second group comes in, right? 90 and 93 come in. Second group comes in. It's 98 and 45. It isn't 45 and 95 anymore, right?
The Alfred Collins hype train has officially been parked for all eternity.
The one time you see him, the first time you saw him, he was coming in at the jack in this heavy sub package, right? This run package where he plays end.
That is a wild package. Look at that. 95, 90, 93, 1, 41, 33, 37.
Yeah. So it's just like something's happening there with Alfred Collins. I mean, that's a guy. We talk about dudes who could be wise to come back. I think he could be wise to come back. Okay. Anyway, did you say that we had a super chat?
We do. Dartborg
Thank you
again.
again, Dartborg. In your eyes, how does Sweat compare to the likes of Hampton, Rogers, Ocam, and Lamar Houston? Man, I feel like this is a giant cop out because I'm not answering this from a professional. Like, if you just want to know my personal standpoint, not professionally, I can compare him professionally to Malcolm Brown, Hassan Ridgeway, Paul Boyette, those kinds of players, right? Puna, Keandre Coburn.
You have the data, the exact data on those guys. But he's asking in your eyes, like from what you saw.
I mean, I don't know if he's Sean Rogers or Casey Hampton. I mean, golly. He could be. He could be, man. He's an incredible player. He's so big with such twitch. He's bigger than them. I feel like he moves almost the most like a Lamar Houston. Does that make sense, Blake?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Blake's like, I don't know. I was 4 years old.
I remember Lamar Houston though.
Yeah. So, but I don't feel like any of those guys are. I don't know of a comp for T'Vondre Sweat because T'Vondre Sweat's a unicorn. That people are just gonna, people are gonna be talking about him like, how could that man have been 365 pounds and been able to do this? Gosh, he's so fast.
I'm gonna remember that face mask forever, just for his athletic ability to reach out and grab that dude. He was trying to get around the edge and sweat.
He got swindled out of a big TFL, and he got called on a penalty and all this. And you know what I liked about him? He didn't cause a scene. He didn't do anything like that. He's kind of put his head down. But you could tell he was tilted and angry about it.
Back to business.
Yep, back to business for sure. Blake says he emailed you a defensive set that got a sack.
Hold on, let's see.
Let's see what Michael, my business, is sending us.
Jay Ward sent me some video too. I'm gonna have to check that out here.
Again, guys, thanks so much for being here with us. I wanted to put together a prize picks entry for the Monday Night Football game tonight. So maybe while Blake's looking that up, I can get that done. But also, if you guys could please click to like and subscribe to the show, subscribe to the channel, we'd certainly appreciate it. Oh God,
Michael, my business.
That actually got a sack. I forgot what happened. It feels like I should. It feels like I should remember that one.
I'm trying to remember what year is this? Is this?
It doesn't look like it's too long ago.
Is it 21 or is it 19?
Based on the graphics, but I can't tell. It looks too blurry to me, but to tell what players.
Yeah, I can't make out the players. Interesting though. That got a sack.
All right. We can get Jay Ward's new video up here tomorrow. Let's go ahead and go to Prize Picks and see about putting in a lineup for tonight. All right. NFL. Who do we got? All right. We got Buffalo, and we got Denver. Gosh, Buffalo is just going to run over these idiots, aren't they? Doesn't it feel like that to you, Blake?
Yeah,
Buffalo's
Denver's terrible.
It's the number one matchup for opposing tight ends, the number one matchup for opposing running backs, the number 8 matchup for opposing wide receivers, number 6 matchup for opposing quarterbacks is what Buffalo faces. And the Buffalo Bills, the Broncos face the number 23 matchup for opposing quarterbacks, bad matchup for opposing receivers, middling matchup for opposing runners. I wonder where they're going to have Javonte Williams and stuff. Javonte Williams is really picking up. I wonder if he's going to have a 47-yard or something like that. Whoa, rushing. 55.
Oh, Jay Ward's video might be what the Denver defense looks like tonight. Hold on, let me pull this up.
Okay. Oh, God. Who is that?
It's him.
That's not Jay Ward.
Video of me getting stepped on in the practice pen.
Oh, my God, Jay Ward. You need to quit sending these videos of you getting mutilated by these bulls. Golly, that's great.
Is that not a Denver cornerback trying to tackle Josh Allen?
Cody saying he likes the James Cook under on receptions. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's been being. Why? Just because it's not going to be that kind of game script, Cody? Maybe it won't. I'm fine. Let me see if there's anything else I like better. 5.5 receptions for Kincaid. That sure escalated quickly, didn't it? Dalton Kincaid now getting all this action. Gosh, I'm not sure I like too much on this board. Where's Latavius Murray's rush yards at? Feels like, oh God, he's gonna. I hate Latavius, but if this is a game where they get up big and they're gonna try and salt it away, they're gonna run him for more than 17.5 yards.
Cody just said the same thing in the chat.
Okay. This might be one where I don't have that many that I like. I mean, gosh. I mean, Kincaid's going to have to go for over 52.5, right? So I'm going to
He had 11 targets last week, according to Cody.
I wonder what I can do here with – golly. I got to pick a Denver guy. I got to do at least one Denver guy.
Sean Payton? Anything on him? No.
Rushing yards. What Javonte?
They have a kicker? They have a kicker?
Yeah. Those kicking points, right?
It's got to be up, right?
Yeah. Will Lutz, 5.5 kicking points. Kicking points is just like now, wait, I want fantasy points. Because, yeah, that's what I want.
So he gets extra points for long field goals.
In case they only can get to like within 50, I'll get a 5-pointer for that, right?
Yep.
So that's what I do. I'll go with those 3. Latavius, Moore, Kincaid, Moore, Will Lutz. I'll go with the Moore on
Cody and Money B both saying Sutton over receptions.
Really? What? How many is it? Is it 3.5 or something? Receptions. Let's see. I don't see Sutton. Let me see what they got for him. 44.5 receiving yards. Y'all like that one? Feels like he might get more than 6.5 targets. No? Look at that. He doesn't need. Forget y'all. Forget Sutton. I hate Sutton. I'm not going to play Sutton. All right. There we go. All right. So we got my entry right there, ready to go. And we're going to quit sharing this. And we're going to go back to the chat and just say thank you to you guys, man. We have the show every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3:30 to 5:30. Next week, a little bit of a is next week already Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I think it is.
That sure happened fast. So we'll have a couple of days off for Thanksgiving. I got to get back out and redeem myself with these deer. Let them know I'm still a Stone Cold Killer. We have a promo code for the merch. Blake, what is that? It's Holiday Z10.
It's pinned in the chat, and I'll also put it up on the screen.
Holiday Z10. If you've been on the fence about buying a hat, now's a great time for the 10% off. Holiday Z10, of course. And if you want to get out in the hunting woods, go ahead and get the camo version of the hat. It's a very nice one. Look, it's been a great show. We still need to get to more defense tomorrow. We'll start breaking down ISU tomorrow. I'll get on with the breakdown, the scouting reports on those guys. I'll get on with the offense. We'll talk more about all this stuff every day, man. You guys just bring the heat, man. You bring us topic after topic to kind of discuss and hit on. And so for that, we can't tell you how much we appreciate it. So we'll catch you tomorrow. For Blake, I'm Alex.